Our story begins with a little boy. While his friends were happily playing a game, he stood there, watching them with a bit of a psychopathic expression on his face. They were playing a fantasy game where the children admired the protagonist a lot, or rather the classic good guy hero of the story. But this strange little boy, he preferred the villain. Because of that, he felt excluded. Time passes, and that boy grows up. Now he's an adult named Gozu, who gets into trouble with some criminals and ends up dying. Well, not exactly, because instead of meeting St. Peter at the pearly gates, he wakes up resurrected in a totally different world. And here's the twist. The world he's in now is exactly like the game he used to play as a kid, but not as the hero. Not even a sidekick, just a complete nobody in the new world. Plot twists is he meets the Demon King, the very villain he had always loved, but the Demon King isn't what you'd expect. At this point in the timeline of the game, he's just a young boy named Evelogia. We'll call him Eve because honestly, I'm dyslexic and I'm going to mess up that name a lot. So Gozu finally face to face with the character he always loved. Even as an adult, he hadn't gotten over it. He got so excited that he ran towards him to shower him with compliments. But Eve, still a child, is terrified. The moment is ruined. To make things worse, Gozu is assigned a mission to kill the Demon King, which means killing Eve. So they both end up going into the forest together. Gozu plans to go full Hunter meets Snow White, pretending to carry out the mission while secretly protecting him, but Eve is no fool. So a little fight breaks out between them, in which Eve ends up casting a spell on him that confirms to Gozu that this isn't a dream, since he feels the pain and also feels satisfaction because he is being attacked by the person he's loved all this time. Just acknowledged him, even if it was through a spell. Like a monkey who doesn't quite understand its own emotions, Gozu is overwhelmed. He doesn't fully understand his behavior, but one thing is clear, he's happy to finally be close to the one he's always admired. At that moment, another man appears. He's also been assigned the same task to finishing off the Demon King. He starts harassing Eve, trying to fulfill his mission. So our Gozu steps in. Without hesitation, Gozu beats the man down, sends him to Wednesday, as we like to say, and tells Eve that he will protect him, and that will be his mission from now on. But due to tiredness and the earlier fight, the stress of the attack, feels weak, he ends up leaning on Eve. So being the dependable Eve, lifts Gozu up into his arms and carries him to a nearby room so he can rest somewhere more comfortable. Now you might be thinking, oh, he's probably going to take care of him. Get him medicine, some water, maybe a little paracetamol or tea, right? Nope, this is a boy's love story, and like many BL stories, the first tender moment doesn't go the usual wholesome route. Nope, things escalate fast. And so, in the mind of Gozu, the best cure for Eve's weakness? Well, it's sex. Yes, the cure is apparently a full-on, let's do it moment. On the day one, because logic and pacing are optional here. Now a crucial piece of plot information. Gozu is the semen, the dominant top, and Eve is the yuk, the submissive/bottom. They are like the pencil and the sharpener, the active and the passive, the debit and the credit, the one who gives and the one who receives. So you get the idea. Now just as things are getting delicious, Eve's parents show up, the same ones who originally sent Gozu to kill their son. Yeah, hypocrites. Eve's mother walks in, sees the situation, and is furious. She immediately jumps to conclusions, accusing Eve of kidnapping and seducing Gozu as if her son was some kind of predator. She starts ranting like one of those gossipy, judgmental old ladies who sees a girl in a short skirt and immediately blames her if something bad happens. You know the type, lacking basic empathy or logic with a moral compass spinning wildly in the wrong direction. Hearing those words, Gozu gets very angry, so he punches both of them, as he should be furious that they would treat Eve like that. All the while, Eve is stunned. For the first time, someone is standing up for him. Someone is defending him, not out of duty, but because they genuinely care. When Eve sees his father about to attack Gozu, he defended him with his magic and threatened his parents that if you try to hurt the person I love, I won't hold back. His power flares up so strongly that the whole town notices. People come running, but instead of understanding the situation, they come to the conclusion that it's probably Eve's fault. So they all start throwing stones at him while calling him a monster. Seeing this, Gozu lashes out at the crowd, shouting that the real monsters are them, their hatred, their ignorance. That's what's truly inhuman. He tells Eve to insult them too, to fight back not with fists, but with truth. And so the two of them leave the town behind to a place where they might finally find peace. The next day, we see that they were already in a carriage and ready to go to another city. Everything seems peaceful, until they end up top with a young lady who was dressed in black and claimed to be the wife of the Demon King, and in order to meet and see the Demon King, she was willing to give her life, so she was entering the dangerous forest all alone. Eve did not want her to have such an ugly ending, so he follows her into the forest, hoping to stop her from making a terrible mistake. Once he catches up to her, Eve and Gozu argue. Eventually, Eve learns the truth. The girl doesn't actually want any of this. It's her family and some crazy people who are obsessed with the Demon King who forced her into this sacred duty. She's just trying to survive. Enraged by how this girl has been manipulated, Eve unleashes a huge surge of his magical power. The shock and intensity of it scares the girl, who runs away, and with the fear they put in her. She didn't want to know anything about the Demon King anymore, although in reality, she didn't want to sacrifice herself for her family or village who were forcing her, which honestly is for the best. Not in fact quite the opposite. Apart from being very happy he was in horny mode, because watching his man go full dark and dominant mode, so naturally they celebrate right there in the forest with a passionate, consensual, emotionally charged moment. Because we know that this story isn't just about action, it's about love, homosexual love with a lot of consent on average. I love it. A little later, before they reach their next destination, Eve ends up slaying a terrifying dragon that had been tormenting nearby villagers. After that, the town welcomes both Eve and Gozu as heroes and saviors. Then we meet a new character. He's blonde and has a headband, basically a mob character, but Gozu recognizes him. In the game, the dragon will destroy his hometown, and then he will meet the hero's party and become his mate. His name is Makiri. He and Gozu do not get along. They butt heads immediately and about to throw punch, but Eve steps in and ends the fight by launching a magical blast at Makiri. When Makiri turns to see who attacked him, suddenly his eyes locks with Eve. Mistake number 1, he thinks Eve is a girl. Mistake number 2, he instantly falls in love. Makiri being Makiri, he throws out a cheesy, overly dramatic love confession, because even in this game timeline, he's still a relentless flirt. Gozu clearly gets angry about that since he's about to eat his cake. So he hits Makiri telling him, "Don't you dare talk like that about my man, since he's his and no one else's bitch." In addition to Gozu telling him that Eve is a man, but Makiri doesn't care about gender, is irrelevant, and he is still madly in love with Eve. At night, Eve and Gozu finally get a moment to themselves. They're in their room, the vibes are right, things are heating up until Makiri busts in again, right at the worst possible moment with another declaration of love. Since he entered just at the moment where they were about to make out delicious, Eve emotionally wrecked, Gozu furious, Makiri still simping. Because Makiri is a grown man, he does not care that Eve is a man. He still loves him, and to apologize for getting into his room out of nowhere. So he invites them to a little party happening in town. Later, once they are alone, Gozu finally opens up to Eve. He explains how he got to this world, how strange it all is, and admits that maybe, just maybe, he won't be able to stay forever. He doesn't know how or when, but the thought of leaving one day haunts him. This triggers a full-blown existential crisis. Eve gets angry at the very idea. He doesn't want to lose Gozu. Not now, not ever. That frustration turns into passion, and well, let's just say they work it out in the most intense way possible. Eve gets a little rough. But hey, we all know that our Gozu likes it that way so well they both win. After that, they both decided to go to the party that Makiri had invited them to. The first time in his life, Eve feels at home. Since nobody looked at him ugly, nobody looked at him weird, nobody called him a monster, and everything. The opposite, they loved him very much. The townspeople admire him and Gozu. They see them as heroes, not threats. And Gozu is deeply content because nothing makes him happier than finally being with the person he's loved and admired, idolized, since he was a kid, and now that person loves him back. This is the first time both of them feel truly happy, safe, and seen. All of this is thanks to the fact that the important thing here is love homosexual, love bold, messy, beautiful, and deeply real. I do not know, guys, how many fucking things will get more things from this anime, but that the end today video. If you want more drama, magic, love, fights, and delicious moments, go read the manga. Thanks for watching this, my recap. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment now. Love you. Kisses on the butt cheeks.